Hi TYB, you're in your final snapshot, final section of Isaiah. I've got to say again, I say this every time, are you loving it? Is it amazing? When you read Isaiah, sometimes when you read the prophetic books, you get a little bit scared because I have to say Jeremiah is quite intense. He's like a full-on prophet. And even when I read Jeremiah, I'm like, oh man, this guy is full-on. But Isaiah has got this sound to him. He's got this authority. He's prophesying to the kings and he's saying, listen to me. He's got this authority of the voice of the Lord. And I love that about Isaiah. Have you heard it? I'm telling you judgment. I'm telling you God is not happy. I'm telling you he's about to give you a timeout, guys, if you don't get your behavior right. And I'm telling you that you're about to go into exile. And from 1 to 35 and then the history 36 to 39, you hear this sense of Isaiah's authority to prophesy to kings, to prophesy into nations. How cool is that? And you imagine his wife, the prophetess, going, yes, and his sons going, come on, Dad. This sound of Isaiah, this prophet of the word of the Lord. I mean, remember prophet, and this is the messengers of God at that time saying, I'm telling you what God's saying. And as we said, some people accepted Isaiah's message, some people didn't. And he ends up being sawn in two by Manasseh just to keep him quiet, just to shut him up. How amazing, like crazy is that? Now, as you've probably come through, and I'm hoping you're probably you've hit Isaiah 40, did you notice the complete shift? It went from judgment to bam, comfort. Comfort, comfort. And I mean, Isaiah 40, the first section is comfort, comfort. It talks about it over and over again because what he's done is he's done this first section, he's prophesied, and then in the last 5 years, end 5 years of his life, he's going into like a little prophetic bubble. He's having some time with the Lord and God is downloading the future. This is the future to Isaiah. Isaiah is not prophesying this when it's happening. He finishes prophesying at 681 BC, and this doesn't happen until 587 BC. So he's prophesying the future. And he didn't get to see it. Imagine in heaven going, oh my gosh, is that what you were telling me, Lord? He's like, yep, you prophesied that. And he starts to see, God starts to show him the future. Now, the themes and theology of this book is amazing because we have this cosmic nature in this book. What does that mean? It means you get this sense of a cosmic God. That word always reminds me of the genie in Aladdin, but this cosmic element to God, this bigness of God, this guys, you're down here fussing about your earth and all this stuff, and that's beautiful, and I'm very intimately with you. But in Isaiah, you feel like this sound of heaven. And over again, he says heaven. I'm going to talk about it in the dive. That arise, shine. There's this action to it. Come up and see God's perspective is what he's saying. Come up and see how big I am. Come up and see what I see of the earth. Now, the themes and theology in this book, he unveils the dimensions of God's judgment, which we've heard, his salvation. He talks about the Holy One of Israel, which we've gone through. He's punishing rebellious people. And you know what? We have a God that actions. When his people are in rebellion, he steps in like any dad would and goes, I'm going to actually take action here because you are out of control. Israel is blind and deaf. You can hear this sound of that they just don't understand. The vineyards are trampled. Can you hear this sound of judgment when you go through these imageries? People devoid of justice. God calls that the day of the Lord comes in and he says there's going to be a day where judgment comes. And this is not just prophesying this day of exile. It's prophesying the future in the second coming when there's a day of the Lord where God's judgment and justice will come again. God's justice is referred to as a fire. So we've got this theme of justice. He is sovereign Lord. What does that mean? Above everything, guys, above everything. And then we have this yet. In these themes and theology, we have a yet. God has compassion. Can you hear the shift? He rescues them from their political exile. He takes them out of a new exodus comes. He redeems them. You're going to hear this language of streams and springs up in the desert. I love Isaiah preached on it, forget the former things, forget the old, behold the new. You get this sound of the new. Arise, shine, for your light has come. Are you up to this part yet? You're probably maybe still in the judgment. Wait, it gets even better. You go to this part of arising and action and God rising over his people. The Lord raises a banner over them. Oh my gosh, this is going to be trashed. This is your book that you're going to have so much imagery. I want you to completely highlight it. Get one of those highlighting sets that has 12 in them. They're so cool. I am such a nerd. Peace and safety. You're going to hear this messianic age. Now, in the dive last section, I went through Find Jesus because throughout Isaiah, there are these little sections where Jesus pops up. Now, we are looking from hindsight, looking back and going, of course that's Jesus. But you know what? When we have I said this in the dive, when we have the second coming, we may be completely wrong about that because we're interpreting it incorrectly. So don't start get judgmental on the Jewish people or the Israelites not knowing what the Messiah looked like, because clearly it says in Isaiah. That's hindsight knowledge. You can't say that. But you can feel this sense of a Messiah. You can feel this sense of, you know what? I have a promise coming that is going to change all of this. You can feel this expectation in God. You know, it's nearly Christmas for us here. So, as a parent and you've got these presents, I'm really bad at surprises because I just have to tell people, I'm like, I got you a surprise, and then I can't keep it in and I give it to them way too early. But there's this surprise coming in Isaiah, and God's just sharing a little bit, hey, I've got a present for you. I've got something for you, and it's coming, and it's this messianic hope. The suffering servant that brings salvation. Cyrus, how cool is it with Cyrus in 42 talking about delivering the people? You have this beautiful Christ delivering humankind out of prison, the prison of their sin, which we have today. He's prophesying it, the light for the Gentiles, finding salvation. You've got this servant of the Lord that is about to come, and we know it's Jesus. And it's just so cool that you can hear have you heard this remnant, this message throughout it? I have to say, Isaiah, the end of Isaiah, where it talks about the new heavens and the new earth. I mean, I'm an end times teacher and I love the book of Revelation. So for Isaiah to be prophesying this about 700 BC, and he is prophesying our future. How cool is that? The new heavens and the new earth. I really want you to study this. And he talks about the restored earth and the restored people will then this beautiful understanding of this divine ideal where God is going to restore all of this back to what happened in Genesis, us walking in a garden with the Lord, this beautiful sense of the Holy One of Israel, having accomplished his plans. As you read this, I want you to read the new heavens and the new earth in the end of Isaiah. But what I want you to also do is maybe jump over to Revelation and just have a look at the parallel. The new heavens and the new earth in Revelation 21, 22. Isaiah prophesies this as well. And it's just this beautiful sound. Let me try and find it quickly for you. I'm in Isaiah, but it is a long book. How are you going with the length of the book? Keep going. It's amazing. Isaiah 65, and see where he talks about, see, I will create new heavens and a new earth. He's not talking about post-exile guy. He's not even talking about his time. He's talking about our future. This prophet prophesies past, present, future, and future for us. The former things will not be remembered, nor will they come to mind, but be glad and rejoice forever in what I will create. For I will create Jerusalem to be a delight and its people a joy. Can you hear his heart for Jerusalem? He's a Jerusalem boy. I will rejoice over Jerusalem and take delight in my people. The sound of weeping and of crying will be heard in it no more. Guys, the book of Isaiah is a book that will revolutionize your concept of God, the bigness of God. God is, like he says in Revelation, I am the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end, who was and who is to come. Isaiah prophesies this. He says, God is way up here, adores you, loves you, is able to hear your very whisper. But let's have a perspective of how big our God is. And you need to lift up your head. You know, maybe right now things aren't going well for you. It makes me cry almost because I love you guys so much. Maybe right now you're in sickness. Maybe right now your family isn't going well. Maybe right now you're like, Katie, I'm doing TYB, but I'm struggling. I want Isaiah to lift your head. I want these prophecies to say, arise, shine. I want them to say, the Spirit of the Lord is upon you. I want them to have this arise and this sense of, don't worry about circumstances right now because you serve a God who is across the nations, who knows your future. You serve a God who is cosmic God above all things. You serve the God of the nations. So today, as you finish this book of Isaiah, let it action you. Let it stir your spirit again. No matter what you faced in this year, TYB, no matter what you are facing right now, you serve a God that will lift your head and say, arise, behold, forget the former things. I've got new things in store for you. So be inspired as you finish this book. Read the dives and the deep dives this week. We are going to inspire you to lift your head up. I hope you will love Isaiah. I hope it will transform your thinking. Have a great time as you finish this book.